Oh, we back at it. We are back at it. Top tier content once again. And we're going to have a little fun, of course. Hello, all, and welcome to the Heel Turn Podcast. I'm your host, Isaiah Jackson Jr. Man, I don't know. I feel like I feel like I was just talking a little like low. I feel like it was like half of my face was hidden. Who wants to hide this face? It was like, why do that? why would you do something like that? But look, we got to get into AEW Dynamite because it's awesome. It's super cool. It was a whole lot of fun. It was a whole lot of fun at the end of the day, and just a whole lot of twists and turns, as of course AEW likes to be. But there was something on here that really threw me off. And we're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into all of that. Missed out on Monday Night Raw, of course, was put on a very important mission for Monday Night Raw. But at the end of the day, still a whole lot of fun. Monday Night Raw still not necessarily the twists and turns like AEW Dynamite, but still Raw was a whole lot of fun as well. We still don't have a decision for Liv Morgan. When LA Knight came out, pretty much confirmed everything I said a couple last week. Just pretty much saying that LA Knight, you don't really expect him to do much. He goes out there, he gives you he gives you your promo. You have a whole lot of fun with him, but you don't expect him to win. You don't expect him to lose. You just expect him to be there. It's like you just expect him to be there. You just cheer for him and hope for the best. It's like hope for the best in more ways than one. And so, of course, outside of that, also got to get into the great work that was done by the masked man, just pretty much curb stomping Logan Paul's face through the announcement table. That was fun to watch, of course. Can't go wrong with some Logan Paul punishment, of course. You had Asuka going forward in the elimination chamber. She beat Bayley and Natty. Love me some Natty. Love everything that Natty is doing. Bayley as well, but Bayley's she's going a little crazy right now. Bayley's still trying to find herself at this point in time. But of course, getting into it as well, we're still got El Grande Americano, the OG and the newer one, I guess you could say, Ludwig. Undercover, just undercover as El Grande Americano, living his best life. Of course, you got AJ Lee. We saw AJ Lee and Becky Lynch go back and forth as well. Something that was a whole lot of fun. Of course, AJ Lee going, at least in my eyes, is going to be taking the title away from Becky Lynch at Elimination Chamber. And if she does it there, she's going to do it at WrestleMania. At some point in time, AJ Lee will be Intercontinental Champion. At least that's it's my thought process here with this whole thing going on. And Javon Evans, too. Javon Evans in the main event, of course, moves forward as well in the Elimination Chamber. He beat Gunther and Rey Mysterio. He beat Gunther and Dominic Mysterio, not the better Mysterio, Jesus. The younger Mysterio. Don't say that. Don't clip that. I didn't say that. That was AI. But Raw was definitely a whole lot of fun. Like I said, it didn't have its twisted turns like AEW Dynamite did, but let's jump right into AEW Dynamite. Let's stop all the talking. Let's stop all the charades. Jon Moxley took on Mark Davis, and what was a match that you kind of expected. Mark Davis busted up his hand early on. It looked kind of gnarly, but he still pulled through, and he had a really good, banger of a match with Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley matches are getting better and better. I've been enjoying myself watching Jon Moxley as of late. He's been having fun in the ring as well, and you can see it. And it's not just, no sells and chokeouts anymore. He's actually putting the work in to show pain, to show, I'm not necessarily saying to show effort, but, there were a couple times where you felt like most of Jon Moxley matches were just, weak forearms, a choke out at the end of it all. And then, of course, you're getting jumped. Right after the beatdown as well. So Jon Moxley coming through, putting in some solid work, putting in some solid matches with guys like Mark Davis. And, of course, we got to see him and Konosuke Takeshita running back again after their draw just a couple days ago at Grand Slam Australia. So, it's a whole lot of fun, man. Jon Moxley looks like he's having a whole lot of fun with it. And Can't wait to see him take on Konosuke Takeshita again, because Konosuke Takeshita has to take that belt away from Jon Moxley. Absolutely has to take that belt away. At least, that's my thought process here. The Young Bucks showed up. FTR came in. FTR and Stokely came in and was drawn off about the Young Bucks, saying that 10 years ago they said that the Young Bucks were the greatest tag team. Bull jive. It's like, let me just tell you right there that is just complete crap. Absolute crap. Like, I will put the Usos, I will put the New Day, I would still put FTR or the Revival, whichever one they wanted to be. Hell, I would put Alpha Academy over the Young Bucks. Now, I'm sorry to tell y'all, like, I'm just a hater. I was just like, I got it. Just where is it? Justin knows. Justin will tell you, a certified hater. I was just like, automatically, if you ain't hating, you ain't. What are you doing in life? And so with the Young Bucks, I don't like a single thing they do. I don't like a single thing they do. They are boring to me. Everything that they do is stale. It only entertains their audience. Oh my goodness, that is a big bug. Hold on. Should I kill it? Hold on. That is a big bug. Jesus Christ. And it's mainly because I have my door open too. Like, man, I gotta kill this bug. Ah! Uh-oh. 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 I made a mistake. Okay, we're just gonna leave you here. Just gonna bring you up top here. I broke my TV. There's a bug on this. There's a bug on the on my TV. I'm like, I gotta get rid of this guy. Smacked it. TV just completely fell off the table. Outside of me trying to kill bugs and me doing dangerous things, me being a dangerous man. But outside of all that, look, like I said, Jon Moxley is putting in the work, and you gotta love to see it. But the Young Bucks just get on my last nerves. There's nothing they do that entertains me. It entertains one side of the AEW audience, and that's their side. It's their side. That's the side that they only care for. That's the side that they cater to. If you don't like what they do, you're the hater. You're the problem. Or you're falling in their trap. They wanted you to feel this way. And it's just like, brother, y'all, they do so much, in terms of trying to say that they keep up with the times, especially with Dave Meltzer. Dave Meltzer doesn't make it any better when he says everything that he does is great, and that's not, it's far from the truth. Absolutely far from the truth. And of course, the Young Bucks, I don't think they can spit a promo to save their life. I don't think they can do anything. I don't think, like, they're athletic, but I'm not a fan of their wrestling, of their brand of wrestling, their style, of wrestling. But we did get I didn't call it a fatal 4-way in the description. I just called it the 4-way match between Willow Nightgale, Marina Shafir, Megan Bain, and Mina Shirakawa. Mina Shirakawa got a whole lot of love in this match, but you got to give it to Willow Nightgale for just still being the absolute dog. I didn't want her to drop this title. I didn't want her to go through any of this Tommaso Ciampa, Kyle Fletcher nonsense that they got going on. I wanted her to hold this title for a long period of time. And she did exactly that. She rolled up Mina Shirakawa. After Mina Shirakawa felt like she was after Mina Shirakawa put Willow Nightgale in a bit of danger, almost got her in that figure 4. You had Willow Nightgale hit her with the roll up, and that was about it. Pretty quick, pretty simple, straight to the point. And you got to give a whole lot of love to Willow Nightgale and, of course, Megan Bain. I felt like they did the heavy lifting, in this fight, but still a whole lot of fun. Willow Nightgale, Marina Shirakawa, they tried to, at least Willow Nightgale tried to show some great sportsmanship. Mina Shirakawa had to think about it. It's like Mina Shirakawa had to think about it for a little bit, because she's a little frustrated, of course, but she ended up shaking Willow Nightgale's hand at the end as well. You got Hangman Page. Now, this is what bothered me. Let's talk about Hangman Page. We got to talk about Hangman Page, because this dude, like, I understand he's a nice guy. even not even in the ring, just outside of the ring as well. I understand he's a nice guy. He's probably the best person in the world. I'm just not a fan. I'm just not. I am anti-Hangman Page. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to tell you, I'm just not a Hangman Page guy at all. And that's not nothing towards Hangman Page. I think he's a really great. I think he's a really good wrestler. I think Hangman Page puts the work in the ring and puts the work in on the mic as well. But nothing he says necessarily moves me in terms of his promos, and even when he's speaking, even when he's telling you how he's feeling, when he's telling you the real and what's going on in real time. It's not necessarily that I don't believe him. It's just that I don't know. I just don't care. It's just I just don't care. I just don't care at all. Hangman Page comes off to me as just, pretty boring. And 9 times out of 10 isn't going to necessarily get the job done, when it's all said and done, which is why this confused me when he said this. It's which confused me when this came out of this man's mouth, because I couldn't believe this. He said that, Hangman said that, at least for the Texas, he asked for the Texas death match, of course, the added on stipulation for him and MJF, him versus MJF. And he says he would never challenge for the world title ever again if he lost. Not if MJF, it's not like if MJF, was champion, he can't challenge for the title as long as nothing like that. It's no, if you beat me, I don't want to fight for the title ever. I'm not allowed to fight for the title ever again. Why would you say that? Why would you say that? That makes zero to no sense, brother. Honestly, for you, I understand the rivalry. I can understand the rivalry is, built up. It's tough. It's getting heated. The emotions are stemming high. But, brother, look, nothing is that serious for you to be like, you know what? If you beat me, I'm never, for as long as I'm wrestling in AEW, I'm never going to fight for the title again. Who agrees to that? Who does that? I go, of course, MJF is like, brother, I'll take that all night and day. Of course, but, Hangman, hits him with the twist. He wants a Texas death match. That's cool and all, but, brother, that makes no sense. Why would you why would any wrestler put themselves in that situation? I understand people that are like, you know what, if you beat me, I'll retire, because I'm about to retire anyway. It's like, if you beat me, I'll retire. If you beat me, my career is over. It's like, if you beat me, I'll leave AEW and I'll never wrestle for AEW again. And then, of course, by some miracle, a loophole happens and they're back wrestling again. Things like that. He just pretty much just said, no, if we're going to wrestle, we're going to fight. And I hate you so much. You piss me off so much that if you beat me, I'll never fight for this title again. What? It's just like, who says that? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? To me, that makes no sense. There's not enough hatred in the world. I know I was just talking about hate early on. It's okay to be a hater. It's okay to have some hatred in your heart. But the hatred in your heart shouldn't put you in a situation to where you can't advance your career, to where you can't advance your life. It's like, it's okay to hate and advance in life. It's just like, Hangman Page is just like, I hate you so much that I'm just going to cripple my career. I'm just going to remain a 2-time champion, because if you beat me, I'll never wrestle for the title again. I'm sorry. Brother, you have the match already. You have the match against MJF. It's like, you can... Why? Why? This doesn't need to be one and done. It doesn't have to be. So, man, that is ridiculous. I'm sorry, C Fluid. I had to get that off. I didn't mean to ignore your text here. Wouldn't have minded if Megan had won. Yeah, true. It's been a while. Megan has been showing her ass off for a while. Not literally. I don't want to put that out there. But, Megan Bain she's been putting in work ever since she showed up to AEW. And we haven't seen, a whole lot of success come her way in the tag team division a little bit, but not much as a singles competitor. Hangman is on this Cody Rhodes. Exactly. Like, brother, that's not how life works. You know, it's like that. And of course, that's how life works. If you want to, hinder yourself, if you want to hinder your career and stop you from growing. But to me, I think that's nonsense. For Hangman Page to say that, that's a little nonsensical. I don't think anything's that serious for you to be like, I hate you so much. It's just like, if you beat me, I won't fight for the title for the rest of my career. That's a little drastic. A little drastic, Hangman Page. Now I'm rooting for you to lose. It's like, now I'm rooting for you to get your ass out of it. Like, I'm sorry. I'm rooting for you to lose. I'm rooting for you to lose. And so I just had to get it off my chest. I just thought that was kind of stupid for Hangman Page. I just don't think that's a necessary stipulation that needs to be had, at least in Hangman Page's part. If MJF was to pitch this and Hangman Page was stuck in a corner, was when like he's trying to fight MJF and MJF is just like, no, I'm not accepting a fight from you. No, I'm not gonna. MJF is steady ducking Hangman Page, and then it leads to something like this. Okay, cool. If Hangman Page is ducking MJF, he can't get to him, and he's like, man, what do I got to do to fight you? And MJF, oh, well, I got an idea. Like something like this. If this is like MJF's idea, if this is the heel's idea to put you in this situation, no, you put yourself in this situation. So I can't even feel bad. I can't even feel upset if you get your ass beat and you end up not being able to fight for an AEW title, for the AEW championship for the rest of your career. I can't be upset about that. And you shouldn't either when you lose. So it is what it is. You had Game Kid and Clark Connors taking on Orange Cassidy and Tomohiro Ishii. I ain't gonna lie to you, I skipped that one. I was like, all right, this is my time. It's time to eat real fast. Because I was like, it's time for me to get up out of here. But Tomohiro Ishii, just not a fan of Tomohiro Ishii. Maybe I will be, in his olden days. It's like if I watch a couple of his throwbacks, of course, Orange Cassidy, I'm 50-50 with Orange Cassidy. Sometimes I can watch him and, have fun watching Orange Cassidy, and other times I'm just like, all right, brother, like this is getting challenging. Like when him and Tony Storm are dance fighting and they're doing the tango while like swinging. You lost me. I was like, you completely lost me there, honestly. And the Brawling Birds versus Viva Van and B3CCA. That's actually a whole lot, but I do love me some Viva Van. Viva Van is amazing. I saw her in Arizona and never got the chance to like introduce myself, never got the chance to like talk to her 1v1, but she seems like just a powerful character in terms of like just real life, not talking about character, but like just a powerful person in general. Takes herself serious, gives no F's, just a super serious individual, and you gotta love that. It's like you gotta love that. Can't complain about that at all. Then of course we got you got Swerve Strickland taking on Kenny Omega. Now Swerve Strickland versus Kenny Omega was absolutely nuts. A really good back and forth battle. Kenny Omega, of course, was just getting more and more aggressive, both guys, as the match went on. Swerve Strickland was able to get the win, of course, a whole lot of fun, but it didn't in there. Swerve Strickland, of course, you could see it in his eye. My man was boiling. He was hot, steaming. And Prince Nana's just dancing in the background, living his best life. And Swerve, you can just see the wheels turning in his head. He wants to crash out, and that's exactly what he does. Crashes out on Kenny Omega, pretty much beats down a battered man that's already on the ground. Gets the chain. At first, he grabs Prince Nana. I'm like, bro, what did he do? Like, leave my brother alone. He's not on Black History Month. Like, don't do this. You ain't gonna do this on Black History Month. No. This February 18th. We still got a little bit of time left. Like, we still got 10 days. But what is called? I'm sorry, I got distracted. I'm sorry, I distracted myself. But you had Prince Nana yank Prince Nana get his chain yanked from well, that sounds awful. Swerve Strickland just grabbed the chain from Prince Nana. There you go. Because if I'm just like, oh well, Swerve Strickland was just pulling on Prince Nana's chain, and as he was tugging on it, Prince Nana just didn't want to let it go. Like I didn't want to just keep going along with it. I just didn't want to keep following on. But on the flip side, You seen Swerve Strickland yank Prince Nana's chain off his neck, and then he proceeds to choke Kenny Omega, of course, throws him over the top rope, does his little pulling, bull jive, is choking the life out of Kenny Omega. And right when you think he's done, he wipes off the announcement table. You already know what's coming up next. You already know what's coming up next for your boy, and hits him with a vertebreaker through the table. That looks sick. Just absolutely murdered Kenny Omega. I'm not expecting to see Kenny Omega for a while. I'm not expecting to see Kenny Omega for a while because that looked absolutely gnarly. And with everything that Kenny Omega's been going through, his recent health injuries, it's good that he can get some time off. But Jesus Christ, every time he comes back, he's taking a beat down. It's like he's getting beat down. Y'all remember what Okada did to my mans? Y'all remember what Okada did to him? Just absolutely just leaking out blood, just type deal. Just gruesome, man. Kenny Omega just can't catch a break. A really solid match. Him and Swerve did their thing. But at the end of the day, man, Swerve showing off. And he tells us to the camera, like, I needed this. And I guess he did. It's like, I ain't gonna tell him no. I ain't gonna tell him he did it. You see what he just did? It looked like he did need it. So I ain't gonna tell the man what he does and don't need. It's just like does and doesn't need. So it was sick, man. But on top of that, it's a whole lot of fun. It's like AEW is a whole lot of fun. At least this episode. I had my critiques, of course. Hangman Page going in there and pretty much hanging himself. I think it definitely screwed the pooch with AEW. I just think that's such a drastic stipulation to have. And it's not necessarily out of the blue, but it's just like, why? Because even the fans just booed. And there was even another fan, easy win. Like, yeah, that's an easy win for MJ. At least for me, I think MJF's winning that all the way, because why would you lose? You just got the title. Why would you lose it off rip like that? But then again, ask Tommaso Ciampa was probably thinking the same thing. Kyle, it's just like Tommaso Ciampa was probably thinking the same thing. So, look, that was AEW Dynamite. We got through that in about 25 minutes. I don't think I'm going to get out of here, with the quickness. But we got through that in 25 minutes. That is absolutely crazy. Usually I'd be in here talking for an hour. Usually I'd be in here just jaw-jacking, going off. But, that's usually when I have some negative stuff to say. It's like, honestly, that's usually when I'm getting mad negative and I got, veins popping out of my forehead. But I got no complaint. I ain't got too much to complain about with this AEW Dynamite. It was pretty chill. It was a whole lot of fun. And I can't necessarily say I learned a lot, but I'm definitely, it's not necessarily a road to WrestleMania for AEW. Obviously, they don't necessarily have their road to whatever just yet. That comes with time. And it will. We're going to get our road to, Wembley or something, road to All Out or All In, one of the two. So, but when that time comes, then we're going to start getting into the, the feel-good wrestling mood type of deal that, we get with Road to WrestleMania. But man, let me tell you something. WWE, y'all bullshit, bro. Y'all bullshit. Y'all are tweaking. Y'all tweaking with these ticket prices. Let me tell you something, man. There should be no reason WWE tickets for nosebleeds should be $300. That's bull, bro. Y'all tripping. Ain't no TKO. Y'all not starving for money like that. Triple H, Paul Levesque, y'all not starving for money like that. Nick Khan, not starving for money like that at all. For y'all to be overpricing tickets like this, like that's bull. Like honestly, there's families of 4, families of 3, families of hell, maybe even just the mom, dad, and the son. That's going along close to coming up on $1,000 to sit up top to watch AJ Lee. To watch the Elimination Chamber itself. That ain't right, bro. It's like that ain't right at all. I mean, just a couple years ago when WrestleMania was in I think it was the pirate style. It was when WrestleMania went 2 nights. When WrestleMania went 2 nights in California, tickets were $25 for both nights. And I knew that because I was in Arizona, right next door. So how tickets for WrestleMania? Now, of course, we're getting out of the
getting out of COVID, of course. So, things, I got to put some context to it. It wasn't $20 just because, Nick Khan and them were feeling generous. Like, we were coming out of COVID, times. Things were a little bit different. So I can understand that a little bit. But $300 is excessive when there's kids coming in wanting to watch wrestling. Why is WWE for the rich now? It's WWE for the rich. It's not going to be for the middle class. It's not going to be for the, it's not going to be beneficially or financially helpful. It's not going to be financially affordable for a lot of the parents out here, for kids that's never been to, like me and Devin just started going to wrestling events. We didn't do that when we were little. I was like, we didn't find time. Hell, neither of our, granted, our parents, they did everything that they, we played baseball, we went to school. It's not like we were struggling at all. But man, like, we're not finna sit here and be like, oh, well, WWE was doing a great job and look at the fun things that they got going on. No, we can't even walk into the events because they're just pricing us out. And that's garbage. It's like, is this the year where we got to start boycotting? Do we got to start boycotting WWE PLEs at this point? Because now it was a pay-per-view now. Do we got to start doing that at this point in time? Because that's garbage. That is absolute garbage. I'm sorry, I had to get that off too. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Had to get it off my chest. It wouldn't be me without a WWE type rant or any type of rant at all. Because there's some things that I just can't let go. Some things that just burn inside of me. Adrenaline in my soul, So a huge shout out to C Fluid for hopping on. Huge shout out to everybody that saw me just completely bust open my my TV. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.